Let me tell you something nobody's going to say to your face. There are people in your life right now, people who act cold, distant, maybe even rude to you, and you've been sitting there thinking, what did I do? You haven't done anything wrong. They're just intimidated by you. And here's what makes this so messed up: they will never admit it, because admitting they're intimidated by you would require them to admit something about themselves they can't face. So instead, they perform, they deflect, they disappear, they attack. And you've been misreading every single signal, probably for years. By the end of this video, you're going to look back at specific people in your life and think, oh, that's what that was. Stay with me. Sign number 3 is the one that's going to hit the hardest. Most people get it completely backwards, and it costs them. Let me explain. Sign number 1: they go quiet when you enter the room. You ever walk into a space and conversations just drop? Not in the way where everyone's excited to see you, in the way where something kind of shifts. People who aren't threatened by you don't do that. They keep talking. They're comfortable. They might even wave you over. But people who find you intimidating, they recalibrate fast. Here's the psychology behind it: your presence creates what's called a status threat. Their nervous system registers you the way it registers any perceived hierarchy challenge. And their first instinct is to go still, to not give themselves away. That silence isn't rejection, that silence is recognition. They know something about you. They're just hoping that you don't know it too. And most of the time, you don't, until now. And here's what's interesting: that silence is usually just the beginning, because once they've clocked you, that behavior doesn't stop there. It actually evolves. It gets more specific, a little more personal, which brings us to the next sign. Sign number 2: they over explain themselves around you. Pay attention to this one because it's subtle and it's everywhere. When someone is intimidated by you, they start justifying themselves before you've even questioned them. You didn't ask why they were late. They tell you anyway, in detail. You didn't ask about their decision. They defend before you even react. Why? Because in their mind, your judgment carries weight, real weight, and they need to neutralize your potential disapproval before you even deliver it. This isn't insecurity in a vacuum. It's insecurity specifically in response to you. The people who don't respect you, they don't explain anything. They don't even care what you think. The person who's over explaining, who's giving you the backstory you never asked for, they're managing you. They're managing a version of you that lives in their head, the version that's already evaluating them. Watch for this week. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Sign number 3: they try to publicly diminish you. Okay, this is a sign that gets misread the most, and it causes the most damage because people internalize it as truth when it's actually just evidence. When someone is deeply intimidated by you, a specific subset of them will go on the offense. They'll make jokes at your expense, but not the warm jokes, the cutting ones. They'll casually undermine your achievements in group settings. They'll find the one thing you're not good at and work it. And you sit there thinking, this person doesn't like me. This person thinks I'm less than. No, actually, here's what's happening. They've done a threat assessment and you came back as a threat. So now they're running one of the oldest moves in social hierarchy: status reduction. If they can make the room see you as smaller, you become less threatening to them. The tell, the consistency. It's not just one joke, it's a pattern, and it keeps coming back. It's almost strategic, because it is. And here's the line you need to remember: Indifference is dismissal. Consistent attack is fear. You don't work that hard on someone who doesn't matter. No one does, ever. We're about to get into the signs that are harder to spot. The ones that happen in private, in one on one settings where there are no witnesses. These are the ones that mess with your head the most. Because without context, they don't look like intimidation. They look like rejection. They look like disrespect. They look like someone who just doesn't rate you. And that misread, that's exactly what they're counting on. I'm going to show you something about human mirroring behavior that will change how you read people permanently. Once you understand what's happening under the surface, you'll never be caught off guard by it again. Let's keep going. Sign number 4. They avoid eye contact or over maintain it. Sometimes both. And yes, I mean both. And here's why. When someone is intimidated, eye contact becomes loaded because eye contact is a dominant signal. It's been that way for every social species that's ever existed. So some people, they look away. They break contact early. They find something extremely interesting on the floor whenever you're making a point. But others, the more aggressive responders, they do the opposite. They lock in. They hold eye contact slightly too long. They're daring you. They're trying to reclaim ground. These are two completely different behaviors, but they are both the same root cause. What you want to look for is the unnaturalness of either. Comfortable people have relaxed, fluid eye contact. There's no performance in it. When eye contact becomes a strategy in either direction, that's the nervous system doing the work that the conscious mind won't admit to. Sign number 5. They mirror you, then suddenly stop. For this one, you'll want to pay close attention. Mirroring, which is matching someone's body language, speech patterns, energy, is one of the most primal bonding signals humans have. We do it automatically with people we admire or want to connect with. People who find you intimidating will often start mirroring you without realizing it. They match your tone, and they adopt your phrases you use. They even follow your conversational lead. And then something clicks in their conscious mind. Why am I doing this? Is this person a threat? I must be shrinking. And then they overcorrect. Suddenly, they're doing the opposite of everything you do. You lean in, they lean back. You lower your voice, they raise theirs. You share something personal, they deflect with a joke. It becomes almost performatively different from you. That sudden shift from alignment to deliberate contrast, that's the tell sign. That's the moment their conscious mind caught what their body was already doing and decided they didn't like what it meant about the power dynamic. It's one of the most revealing things a person can do without saying a single word, because the body always leaks what the mind is trying to hide. Sign number 6. They ask others about you instead of asking you directly. You know how to find out someone's been asking about you? It never comes from them. It always comes from the mutual. Someone mentions it casually, almost as an afterthought. Oh, so and so was asking about you. And your first reaction is probably confusion, maybe even a little flattery. Don't be flattered, because here's what's happening. They want the intelligence without the exposure. They want to know your moves, your life, what you're doing, how you're doing, but they will not give you the satisfaction of asking directly. Because asking you directly means admitting they're watching. And admitting they're watching means admitting why. Have you ever checked someone's social media and told yourself it was just mindless scrolling? That, you were just curious? That's exactly what they're doing with you. Except for them, it's not just mindless scrolling. They're actually studying you. They know details about your life they shouldn't know for someone who acts like you barely exist to them. And that gap between how indifferent they pretend to be and how closely they're actually paying attention is a confession they'll never make out loud. They've written you off publicly. They can't stop watching you privately. That's not indifference. That's obsession with a mask on. Sign number 7. They become oddly competitive with you. This one is going to sting a little because chances are you've been on both sides of this. You mention something you accomplished, they merely top it. You share something good that happened. Suddenly, they have a better version of the same story. Every win you have somehow becomes a setup for theirs. And the whole time you're standing there thinking, why does this feel so exhausting? Why does talking to this person feel like a sport I didn't sign up for? Here's what nobody tells you about this behavior: it's not confidence. Confident people celebrate your wins because your wins don't threaten theirs. What you're watching is someone who has privately decided that you and them are in direct competition, either for status, respect, attention, and they are playing that game at full intensity while you don't even know you're on the field. They've built an entire game in their head with you as the opponent, without your consent and without your knowledge. And every time you simply exist, every time you show up, you're unknowingly scoring points in a game they invented because you made them feel like they were losing. You're not competing with them, but they are absolutely competing with you. And the fact that it's so one sided, that you're living your life and they're just keeping score, that tells you everything about where each of you actually stands. Before we get to the last sign, I want you to remember that all the things that we've talked about so far are all those things that they do around other people. Sign number 8 is different. It happens when there's no audiences, no witnesses, no performance to maintain. It's the most honest signal on this entire list, and it's the one that's hardest to explain away once you see it. Sign number 8. They're completely different one on one versus in groups. This is the final sign, and in some ways, the most clarifying. In a group, they perform confidence. They might even be slightly dismissive of you. They have an audience, they have backup, and the social math feels manageable. But get them alone on 101, something shifts. They become more careful, more measured, they listen more. They might even become a little warmer because the performance pressure is gone, and what's left underneath is the actual dynamic. Or the opposite, they become more visibly uncomfortable, quieter, and they're always looking for exits from the conversation. Either way, the inconsistency is the data point. Secure people treat you roughly the same, regardless of who's watching. They don't need an audience to feel safe around you. This person is brave in groups, but something is different when it's just the two of you. And that shift is the gap between the mask and the real signal. Here's what I want to leave you with: none of this is about power over people. It's not about walking around looking for signs that people fear you like it's some kind of trophy. It's about accuracy. It's about stopping the habit of assuming that every cold person, every dismissive person, every person who seems to be working against you is reacting to some flaw in you. Sometimes the reaction is about them, about what your presence activates in them, about what you represent to the version of themselves they haven't become yet. You can't fix that, and you were never supposed to fix that. What you can do is stop shrinking in response to it. Now, intimidation and respect are closer than people think. They share the same root, but they look completely different in behavior. And once you can tell them apart, You'll never misread people the same way again. Tomorrow, we'll go over the 7 hidden signs someone secretly respects you. Not the obvious ones, the ones people never say out loud, the quiet signals that most people miss entirely or mistake for something else. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.